My jobless girlfriend tried to have my dog killed. The way I got even made her friends call me monster. I, 28M, never thought I'd be sharing something like this on Reddit. But recent events have left me questioning everything I thought I knew about relationships and trust. This is a long one, so buckle up. 3 weeks ago, I returned from what should have been a routine 2-week business trip to find my world turned upside down. The moment I opened my apartment door, something felt wrong. The usual excited barking that greeted me whenever I came home was absent. There was no clicking of paws on the hardwood floor, no wagging tail, no excited whines. My best friend of 6 years, a rescue German Shepherd, was gone. I initially thought my girlfriend might have taken him for a walk, but something in my gut told me this was different. The apartment had that unsettling emptiness that anyone who's ever lost a pet would recognize. His food bowl was gone, his favorite spot by the window was empty, and his toys were nowhere to be seen. When I texted my girlfriend about my dog's whereabouts, her response made my blood run cold. I gave him to a shelter. He was too much work, and I couldn't handle him while you were away. I think this is better for our relationship anyway. Some context is needed here. We'd been dating for 8 months, and she moved in with me 3 months ago when her lease ended. Before moving in, she had presented herself as the perfect partner, claiming to love dogs, suggesting we could get another one someday, and even buying my dog expensive treats and toys. My dog was well-trained, friendly, and had never shown any aggressive behavior. He was my family, my companion through some of the darkest times of my life, including my divorce 3 years ago and my father's death shortly after. The next few hours were a blur of panic and desperate phone calls. I immediately started calling every shelter within driving distance. The first 5 shelters had no record of him. No, felt like a punch to the gut. My girlfriend wasn't answering her phone anymore, and her text responses were vague and dismissive. I don't remember exactly which shelter. It was somewhere in the city. Why are you making such a big deal about this? After 4 hours of increasingly frantic searching, I finally found him at a kill shelter 2 counties over, nearly 2 hours away from our apartment. He'd been there for 10 days. The shelter worker's words still haunt me. You're lucky you called today. He was scheduled for euthanasia in 2 days due to overcrowding. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely sign the paperwork to get him back. The drive to the shelter was the longest 2 hours of my life. When I finally saw him in his kennel, my heart broke. My usually confident, happy dog looked defeated. He'd lost weight, and his eyes had that distant look that shelter dogs get. But the moment he heard my voice, his entire demeanor changed. The shelter staff later told me he'd been depressed and barely eating since arriving. They had no idea he was a surrendered pet. My girlfriend had claimed he was a stray she found wandering the streets. When I got home with my dog, what I encountered next still makes my blood boil. My girlfriend was sitting on our couch, scrolling through her phone like it was any other day. She actually smiled and said, "Oh, you found him? I thought this would be good for us. Now we can focus on our relationship without distractions. He was taking up so much of your attention." That moment was when I truly saw her for who she was. This woman had deliberately driven my dog 2 hours away to a kill shelter, lied about where she took him, and nearly got him euthanized. All while I was away working to support us both. She'd lost her job 2 months ago and hadn't found a new one yet, though I later discovered she wasn't really looking. The next few hours were a whirlwind of activity. The apartment was in my name, and she hadn't contributed to rent since moving in. I called my lawyer friend that evening, explained the situation, and had eviction papers drawn up immediately. Since she wasn't on the lease and hadn't established tenancy yet, less than 3 months, no rent paid, no utilities in her name, the process was surprisingly straightforward. While waiting for the papers, I started gathering evidence. I had the shelter's documentation showing when and how my dog was surrendered. I had her text messages admitting to giving him away without my consent. I even had security camera footage from our building showing her loading my dog into her car that day. I wasn't planning to take legal action, but I wanted leverage in case she tried to fight the eviction. When she came home from her daily job hunting, which I later learned was just her hanging out at coffee shops with friends, I had her bags packed and waiting by the door. Her reaction when I handed her the eviction notice was almost theatrical. First came the shock, then the tears, then the promises to make everything right. "I only did it because I love you," she sobbed. "I thought we needed more time for our relationship. He was getting in the way of our future together." When that didn't work, she switched to threats. She'd tell everyone I abused her. She'd call the police. She'd sue me for illegal eviction. That's when I calmly showed her all the evidence I'd gathered and explained her options. She could either leave quietly that night, or I'd file a police report for theft and animal endangerment. My lawyer friend had confirmed this was possible given the circumstances. I also mentioned that any false accusations would result in immediate legal action. She chose to leave that night, though not quietly. She alternated between crying, screaming, and begging as she packed her remaining belongings. She tried every manipulation tactic in the book, claiming she had nowhere to go, that she couldn't afford a hotel, that she'd be sleeping on the streets. I later found out she has family living less than 30 minutes away. The aftermath has been exactly what you'd expect. She's been blowing up my phone with hundreds of messages, switching between angry tirades about how I've ruined her life and tearful apologies promising she's changed. Her friends have been harassing me on social media, calling me every name in the book. They've created this narrative that I'm some heartless monster who threw a poor, jobless woman out on the streets over just a dog. But here's what these people don't understand. This was never just about the dog. It was about trust, respect, and basic human decency. My dog was there for me through the darkest period of my life. When my marriage ended and my ex-wife took everything, he was there. When my dad died unexpectedly and I spent nights crying on the floor, he was there. He's not just a pet, he's family. The past few weeks have been about healing and reflection. My dog is home safe now, though the experience has left its mark. He's been more anxious than usual, following me from room to room and panicking whenever I leave the apartment. I've installed additional security cameras, changed all my locks, and started him on anxiety medication prescribed by our vet. Looking back, there were red flags I ignored because I was too invested in the relationship. She'd make subtle comments about how much attention I gave my dog, how she wished we had more alone time, how the apartment would be cleaner without pet hair. She'd get irritated when I'd spend money on his food and toys, but thought nothing of spending my money on expensive dinners and shopping trips for herself. The incident has also revealed some hard truths about mutual friends who've taken her side. People I thought I knew well have shown their true colors, suggesting I should have, at least, given her another chance, or that I overreacted. These same people conveniently ignore the fact that she deliberately drove 2 hours to dump my dog at a kill shelter, knowing what would likely happen to him. I've learned valuable lessons from this experience. First, trust your instincts. There were moments when I felt something was off about how she interacted with my dog, but I dismissed these concerns because I wanted the relationship to work. Second, never compromise on the things that truly matter to you. My dog was there for me through everything, and anyone who can't understand that he's part of the package isn't someone I want in my life. Some people have suggested I press charges, but I've decided against it. Having her out of our lives is enough. My dog and I are focusing on moving forward, healing, and rebuilding our sense of security. He's getting extra treats, endless belly rubs, and more attention than ever. We've started going to the dog park every evening, and seeing him slowly return to his happy, confident self is all the vindication I need. Am I the asshole for how I handled this? Sometimes I feel guilty about the eviction, but then I remember how close my dog came to being put down, and the guilt disappears. She made a calculated decision to get rid of a family member because she saw him as competition for attention. That's not something you can come back from. Edit. Thank you for all the support and advice. To address some common questions. 1. Yes, I've blocked her and her friends on everything. 2. Yes, my dog is microchipped, and I've updated all his registration information. 3. Yes, I've informed local vets and shelters about the situation in case she tries something similar again. Edit 2. Since many are asking, she did this while I was away because she thought I'd get over it once it was done. She actually admitted this in one of her texts, saying she thought once the dog was gone for a few weeks, I'd move on and focus on our relationship instead. She didn't expect me to go looking at shelters so far away. Edit 3. For those questioning the legal aspects, my lawyer friend confirmed that since she hadn't established tenancy, less than 3 months, no rent paid, no utilities in her name, the eviction process could be expedited. Different states have different laws, but in my case, it was legal. I also have documentation of everything, including her admission via text. TLDR, girlfriend gave my rescue dog to a kill shelter while I was on a business trip. I found him just before he was scheduled to be euthanized, evicted her from my apartment, and now her friends are calling me heartless for making her homeless. She's not.